less than 30 seconds after leaving the runway. Boeing 7878 Dreamliner of the National Airline of India. Air India carried 242 people. Was unexpected, experiencing a severe loss of lift. The pilot tried to send a distress signal in despair. It's like everything is in vain. The plane fell straight down like a leaf. With full load 100 trillion fuel, it caused a terrible explosion. And this is all that happened on the flight that day. The 6th of December 2025. Chadha Palace High Park International Airport, Ahmedabad, India. International commercial flights as Air India. A 7A scheduled departure from Ahmedabad, India to London Gatwick, UK. The aircraft was a Boeing 7878, Dreamliner 11 years old. The first in the Dreamliner family. It's a long-range wide-body aircraft bearing series number BA6279. It was ordered by Air India in 2005. It was officially handed over in January 2014. Case body of the 787. It's made from an advanced material called carbon fiber reinforced polymers. Lightweight, but extremely durable. Thanks to this design, the weight of the aircraft is significantly reduced. Save up to 20% fuel. Compared to older models like the Boeing 767. About the engine. 787 can be equipped with one of two types. Is General Electric Gen X or Rolls-Royce Gen 1000. They're both considered jet engines. Top of the world, with superior modern technology. What's special about these engines is that use of ceramic-based composite material, an extremely good heat-resistant material. It's often only seen in high-tech applications. That way, the engine works more efficiently, more durable, and more fuel efficient during long-haul flights. There were 242 people on board today. There were 230 passengers and 12 crew members. There are 11 children, and 2 infants were also on this flight. The pilot was Captain Sumit Subhawin, an experienced pilot with over 8,200 hours of flying time, with the first officer Cleaver Kunda, who'd accumulated more than 1,100 hours of flying. They're both highly trained pilots and have seniority in listening. 13:38 local time. After full pumping load 100 trillion ZA, AI Flight 171 start for takeoff process. It's slowly moving on runway 2BA at Ahmedabad Airport. The weather is ideal right now. Temperature about 40 degrees Celsius. Good views and only light winds from the west. However, just a few seconds after leaving the ground, things quickly get out of control. When the plane is in its initial altitude rise phase, the crew began to notice unusual signs. The Boeing 787 seems to have trouble getting altitude, despite the favorable weather conditions. In the first 11 seconds after takeoff, the flight went on as usual. ADSP navigation system. The plane reached an altitude of about 625 feet. That's 190 meters above sea level. But it's concerning. That's the last time the locator signal, the aircraft's ADF, was recorded. This shows that the plane could not go up. More. Just a few seconds later, a serious emergency situation occurs. The captain immediately sends a cloud signal, the highest emergency alert in the aviation industry, to Ahmedabad Air Traffic Control. The cloud here loses thrust, loses power, can't raise altitude. Right after that, the plane lost contact with air traffic control. While it's still there, the altitude is only about 200 meters at a speed of 322 kilometers per hour. Seconds after the emergency call, a horrifying situation came to. The Boeing Dreamliner. He was flying at an altitude of about 200 meters and start losing altitude. In the next 19 seconds, it doesn't continue to climb as usual. It's drifting off the flight path and then salute the island and plummeted into a residential area near the Ahmedabad airport. AI Flight 171. It ends with a giant fireball as the fuselage crashed through multiple buildings and explode violently in the middle of a residential area. Right after the crash, at least 7 fire engines and many ambulances have been deployed to the scene. Rescue forces of the fire department and emergency services Ahmedabad confirmed. We've mobilized units from different regions in the city. The entire route to the accident area, it was immediately locked down to facilitate the search and rescue work. The death toll has now risen to 279. 241 of them were passengers and crew members. Crew on the flight. The other victims were people on the ground. A miracle happened in the midst of the tragedy. There was only one survivor on the flight. A 40-year-old passenger. You're sitting in seat 11, right next to the exit. You were found injured, but alive and out of the plane on his own, before being taken to the hospital. Investigate the cause of the accident. According to preliminary reports from Indian Civil Aviation, GGA and the Air Accident Investigation Committee AIB. Last signal from flight AI-171. It shows that there may have been a serious problem related to the control system or the plane's power supply. The Boeing 787 crashed. It's one of the modern planes, equipped with electronic systems, advanced and highly integrated. However, it's also because of that complexity that a system malfunction. Even small steps can lead to serious consequences if it's during a critical period like takeoff. The extracted data shows the plane began to lose altitude even though the landing gear has been deployed. Namely that the landing gear was lowered, but the flaps, the part that creates lift during takeoff, don't let go. This is a very unusual sign. No plane can take off safely without landing us. In the videos extracted from the camera, security near the scene, you can see that the AAA angle of the plane has increased, while the elevator, aircraft nose lifting control unit, is pointing slightly downwards. This shows that the plane is trying to raise its head like a reflex, finally to regain altitude. Up to the present time, there are 2 theories it is believed to be the cause of this disaster. The first theory, there was an incident where both engines were lost, and the reason for this may be VA touch with birds, or the fuel is contaminated, caused both engines to stop working. The second theory, the pilot didn't set up the flaps right before taking off. In other words, the flaps are still in a compact state, and when the plane crashed, it just creates a little bit of lift. Eventually, there was not enough power to fly because the flaps weren't lowered properly. The above speculation is based on 2 videos widely transmitted by land on the network. A shot of an airplane speeding down the runway and thicken the ground and then fall in the distance. And the second one was shot from the roof or the window, in which the plane flies from left to right, go down and fall out of the frame. Then a fireball appeared. However, another video is transmitted immediately by land. This is the original video. It's not somebody else coming back from the screen. Has once again opened up other avenues of speculation. According to this video, you can't just see the explosion in the distance. You can hear the explosion. A sharp sound that video. The old can't show. Too many voices in the background. It's more interesting if you look at the image. You'll see a circle. Right below, that is a little gray dot. At first, I thought it was noise or blur on the screen, but that's actually RAT. Visual evidence shows that this device was deployed at the time the plane accident. But what is RAT? I'll explain it better for you to understand. RAT stands for Ram Air Turbine, also known as wind turbine. It's a small device, but it's extremely important in many modern aircraft today, like Boeing 787 or Boeing 777. This device is hidden with 6 right wings in a small cabin in the fuselage. When open, it looks like a small boat engine with 2 propellers. RAT acts as a last resort emergency solution when the main systems are paralyzed. On Boeing 787, RAT is automatically activated if one of the following situations occurs. The first is a serious power outage, second serious hydraulic loss, and number 3, both engines stopped working. Only one of the above conditions occurs. RAT will come out, using the same airflow as the plane is flying to turn the propeller, which generates minimal power and hydraulic pressure. This helps maintain basic systems such as radio, navigation screen, and flight control. Allowed, the pilot stabilized the plane and found a landing site. However, RAT can't help the plane fly normally. It just prevents the plane from completely losing control. Back to Flight 171 in video. RAT's sound was also clearly recorded. It's a typical wailing sound. It's like a small propeller plane flying by. Because these two little propellers, it's almost at the speed of sound. So in the secondary videos, the sound is confused and inaudible. But in the original video, sound is much clearer and more recognizable. But one thing to emphasize is that RATs are not designed to handle situations that occur. Altitude as low as only about 400 to 500 feet, just a few seconds after taking off. Then the pilot. There's almost not enough time left to restart the engine. If the speed is not enough, the plane would lose lift and fall straight down. The RAT was deployed just before the accident. It's extremely important evidence. It shows many possibilities. Both engines had stopped working, almost at the same time. RAT with standard condition to RAT automatically activate. Of course, there are other theories as well, like a total blackout or loss of hydraulic system. However, it cannot be completely excluded. Based on the scene imagery, and especially the video, recorded the plane almost plummeting vertically. No more lifting power. The most reasonable scenario, the plane lost both engines. Because only if you lose both engines, then the entire propulsion system is completely paralyzed and the plane crashed very quickly. It's such a profound loss of control. The story of the only survivor of the accident. It's also a very valuable detail for the investigation process. The lucky passenger sat in seat 11, right next to the exit, just a few seats away from the wing crossbar area. Part is rated as solid, the most in the entire fuselage structure. It's probably this very structure absorbed most of the impact when planes crashed into buildings to create a rare survival zone that saves this person's life. You weren't unconscious when the accident happened. Right after the crash, he opened the emergency door. Go out and walk yourself to the hospital. When interviewed, he recounted that just before the moment VA touched, a loud bang was heard. It was accompanied by a sudden flashing of the cabin. The details seem small. This is perfectly consistent with the phenomenon that occurs. RAT is activated. RAT is deployed and take over the electro-hydraulic system on the plane. The main power will be cut off suddenly and switch to backup power that the cabin can flash out in an instant. With all the facts established so far, from images that confirm RAT has sprung row, featured RAT sound recorded, to the direct testimony of the only living witness, it can be said that the theory is that the plane crashed by mistakenly pulling the flaps. It's something that almost no longer stands. Instead, AI Flight Capability 171. I lost both engines at the same time. It's a reasonable hypothesis, the most reliable to date. If you have a more reasonable theory about this accident, feel free to drop it in the comments so we and the admin can check it out. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more awesome videos.